What's up, y'all? It's your girl Chanel from Complex Simplicity. Please excuse my look, even though I probably normally look like this. Today was, Mondays are my day off from work, and I did a lot of housework, changed out my closet for the warm weather months for summertime, threw out some things, washed 3 loads of laundry, went to sprint cycle class. So I've kind of just been around the house and working out. So I really didn't feel the need to lay down my edges or my struggle edges. I didn't really feel the need to put makeup on. What I did do was, sketch some eyebrows real quick. I need to get the microblading procedure, y'all. I'm just so over my eyebrows not really being the way I want them, even when I do fill them in. I realize that your eyebrows really frame and shape your face, and I really would love to know if any of you out there are aware of any good microblading places. I'll continue to do some research, but I need to get this procedure done. I'm over the struggle brows. But anyway, so yes, please excuse. Normally I'm very low key unless I came in from work and may have some smudge eyeliner on or whatever, earrings, but it is what it is. I'm rough. It is what it is. Do any of y'all ever feel like your beauty doesn't translate on camera too well? I feel like my beauty is captured well in pictures and in person. When you see me, you probably would find me to be a lot more attractive than you do on camera. For some reason on camera, I was telling one of my girlfriends a month ago, I don't know, I just feel like it just doesn't always translate well. But anyway, I digress. This is not what I'm here to talk about, but excuse all of this. On my Instagram page for the website, which is at complexedsimplicity09, I put up a thought that I thought was so dope. I reposted it from Fly Fashion Doll, and it said, it asked, what did you learn from your mother about dealing with men? And I was like, I like this. Things that make you go, right? I feel like we learn a lot, us women learn a lot about men or how to deal with men through our mothers, right? So whether that's through their spoken direction or how they taught us certain things, the verbal conversations they had to teach us certain things, like the normal, you better learn how to cook, men, always want to have a full stomach, right? You better know how to keep house, whether it's those kind of verbal teachings or even more importantly, their behavior that we watched and learned from, right? In the social work field, I often talk about when I'm training foster parents and prospective foster parents that behavior is learned and that a lot of times we learn behavior through the behavior of the people around us, our parents, our siblings, our family members, our friends, right? Especially our parents. We learn a lot about how we see the world and how we navigate through the world by our parents, by what they verbally taught us and by how they behaved, how they carried their lives. And so some of us might have gotten pretty good explanations of how to deal with men, or pretty good life lessons on how to deal with men from our mothers. And then some of us might not have really gotten the best of direction. We might not have witnessed our mom being in the best of relationships or communicating in the best of ways with men and vice versa. And then some of us might not have gotten anything at all. I actually know a few people in my life who are grown in the 30s and their parents still never talk to them about the birds and the bees and about sex. And so I think that speaks to a core group of people out there whose parents might not have given them any kind of direction or information about how to deal with the opposite sex. But today we're more particularly talking about what us women have learned from our mothers as it pertains to dealing with men. And so before I start wanting you all to comment and let's have this nice deep conversation about this, I have to share my own story, right? So I fall on the side of my mother. I grew up with the kind of mom who kept me well informed out here, and I'm forever grateful to her for that. She without a shadow of a doubt, from the time I was young, age appropriate, of course, always helped me to understand what it was to be a woman, and helped me to understand through her teachings and her behavior how to deal with men. So my mom and my dad just made 37 years of marriage. Happy belated anniversary to you all. And so that's real shit. 37 years, that's a lot, you know. Not many people can make it 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, right? And so, and just in seeing how my parents interacted with one another was a huge teacher for me, right? I grew up with the kind of dad, I've shared this before, very thoughtful, very loving, very caring. He's a provider, you know. So I always witnessed how he would be with my mom. I always witnessed how my mom would be with him as well. You know, my mom was the type who would show her love to my dad and just how she took care of us as kids, because she was a stay-at-home mom. My brother and I, how she pretty much managed the home, you know, how she always turned the house into a home, how she always, you know, made sure. One thing my mother taught me from young, she said, listen, I'm a stay-at-home wife, stay-at-home mom. My husband's out in the work field, my dad's a teacher. And in the teaching field, he's working with lots of women, right? So my mom said, I don't care if I wear sweatpants every day. I'm gonna make sure that my hair is done. She would always put on a little eyeliner, which is probably why I am the way I am, and she would fill in her brow. It's because of her that I have these funny brows. Thanks, Mom. And so, of course, that's something that stuck with me growing up, right? How my mom always made it clear, even from young, that as a woman, you have to take care of yourself. As a married woman, you have to take care of yourself. As a married woman who was a mother, you still have to take care of yourself, right? My mom, if she had to sew clothes for herself and for me, she would. And you would never think that these were like homemade clothes. You would have thought that my mom got our clothes from a department store. She was nice with her sewing game. And so even in just how she and my dad were when they were maybe not agreeing about something, I always witnessed how my mom would handle that situation. My mom would always speak her piece. She'd always voice her opinion, her perspective. She'd always share her concerns. Go figure why I am the way that I am, right? Building a movement off of these very skills. And so growing up, I've always saw that my mom would, you know, it always was clear to me that men and women, my mom and my dad, would bump heads from time to time. Anyone in any relationship, it's normal, it's par for the course. But just seeing how my mother handled things, right? How she always would still say what it is that she felt, that she would, you know, be willing to hear my dad out, but at the same time, be very clear with her perspective on where she was coming from, what she was hurt about or upset about, why she was upset about this very thing, and moving forward, what she felt needed to happen. And not that we were around or I was around when my parents would have their moments, but you know, every now and then you may catch or you can sense when your parents are kind of disagreeing. And you know, I would definitely see that my mom would hold it down and voice her opinion. And I respect my dad because my dad would voice his opinion and his perspective just as well, you know. And so that taught me from young that, you know, disagreements can be a part of life. Thankfully, I didn't grow up in a household where my parents were like yelling, screaming, hitting, you know, doing crazy things to one another. They would just verbally discuss how they felt about certain things. And they did it in a healthy way, you know. So of course I took that on, and seeing how my mom, you know, would handle that. Now, a lot of the teachings that I've gotten from my mom, which is what I put in my post, on my Instagram post, is, sorry, excuse me, y'all. My mom did a very good job of letting me know from teenagehood, appropriate ageville, that men and women see the world differently, right? You know how they always say men are from Mars, women are from Venus. We definitely see the world differently, right? Women, we come from a place of how we feel. We come from a place of intuitiveness. We come from a place of, I like to say, more wisdom about certain things, whereas men come from a very logical place. They come from a very, if it's 1 + 1 will always be 2 type of place. You know what I'm saying? That men can be very sensitive. In some cases, men are more emotionally sensitive than women, no matter how he may try to mask that, because a lot of men are raised where you have to be masculine, right? And so it may seem like they don't really have feelings, or they're not comfortable with sharing their feelings. But trust and believe, my mom used to always say, men, they're very sensitive. And, you know, with them, you know, respect is a huge thing, right? Respect is huge for us women too, but for men, I think it's a huge thing for them in a different way, right? And so my mom used to always say to me, you know, sometimes men don't get certain things off the bat. You may forewarn them, you may express a concern about something, they don't see it, they can't see it, they don't understand it. It's almost as if you're speaking two different languages at times, but just know at some point it's gonna click and they're gonna be like, oh, that's what she was talking about, right? And so, you know, I'm glad that my mom put me on to these kinds of things, you know, especially the fact that we see the world differently naturally, right? Men and women naturally see the world differently. And she also made it a huge point to say, and it depends on that man's childhood, the same way like a woman. So if they were raised in dysfunction, if they were raised in abuse, if they were raised where they witnessed their mother getting beat down by their father or by her man, you know, that kind of sticks with a guy in some ways. I'm not saying he's going to turn into an abuser. I'm just saying that will affect his ability in some ways to be able to really love you the way you need to be loved. And so when you're dating, be mindful of that, right? Our childhoods definitely affect us. They can make or break us in some ways. They definitely shape how we navigate through the world and how we see the world. You know, I have cousins, tons of cousins on my mom's side, you know, and even on my dad's side, who found themselves in unhealthy relationships, some that were volatile and, you know, just really toxic. And when it traced back, when you looked at their moms were in those situations. So it's almost as if it was like this learned behavior in some cases, you know? And so I was glad that my mom, like I've always said, my mom parented my brother and I with a very from a very realist perspective, right? She didn't sugarcoat things, you know. So as a woman, you know, my mom wanted to make sure when she was raising me as a young lady that I was going to become a true woman and have a balanced view of life, love, self-worth, relationships, all those kinds of things. And, you know, I was watching Iyanla maybe a month ago, and she was working with this family that consisted of several sons. Their parents had struggled with drugs. I think it was one sister in the mix. And so they, you know, the sons she was kind of more particularly working with, they had a lot of hurt and pain, understandably so. It affected their lives in a lot more ways than not. You know, some of them really had emotional roadblocks, things of that nature. And so Iyanla made an interesting point when she was talking to them and when she was talking even with their mom, meaning how you turn out as far as, I'm paraphrasing this, but how we turn out has a lot to do with our mothers. For men, how men end up turning out has a lot, or the adult man that they become has a lot to do with their mothers. Don't get me wrong, fathers play a role in this with us girls. Fathers play a role when it comes to like our self-esteem and things of that nature. But a lot of like how we see the world and like how we are and who we are, a lot of that does stem from our moms, our mothers, because even if you came from a two-parent household, the mom is still the one that does the majority of the work or is around the children the most. The raiser, the nurturer, you get all that from your mother, right? And so to some, I guess Iyanla's point was, you know, your mother has a whole lot to do in that. Now, yes, as we're grown, we make certain decisions and choices in our lives that can make or break our outcomes in some way. But what I will say is, initially, the foundational bricks that have been laid there because the mothers are more of the nurturers and have a lot more of the raising going on. I mean, dads play their role, or the positive fathers out here play their role the way they should, but still the moms have a lot of influence and a lot of the brunt of the raising of the children. And so these young men that Iyanla was working with a lot of whatever deficits they had or needs they had that were not met. Their dad had a role in that, don't get me wrong, but their mom played a big part in that. And so going back to how our mothers help us to learn how to deal with men, you know, like I said, I have family members who, what they learned from their mom was, you just deal with man after man, that men ain't no good, you know what I'm saying? That it's better to have a piece of man than to not have a man at all. That even if it means that this man's gonna put his hands on me and beat me, that just shows me he loves me. He's only that upset with me because it shows the depth of his love and his feelings for me. If you grow up under those circumstances with a mother who is showing you through her behavior and through her experiences that this is okay, there is a high chance that how we learn as young ladies to deal with men will have a lot to do with all of that, right? If you have a mother who always talked down to her man or to your father, always belittled him, it didn't matter if people were around or people were not around, she always disrespected him, called him out of his name, was the one to be quick to try to put her hands on him, that may have a lot to do with how we learn to now deal with men. So it may be easy to want to be the controller in the situation, or maybe you'll be more attracted to more of a docile man, or maybe even if your man isn't docile, it's easier for you to cut him down. You're out with friends. I've seen this. I'm out with friends and there's that one couple that's like arguing, bickering, fighting, or, you know, the woman is like constantly cutting down her man, you know, constantly making comments that makes it seem as if he is inadequate or as if he is not a good man, you know what I'm saying? So these are all the things that we can pick up and learn from our mothers, you know, depending on what their experiences were. And so to the mothers out there, you know, I do have some girlfriends of mine who are raising daughters of their own, right? Something to keep in mind. People in general, those of you who I don't know, right? Please keep in mind what you're teaching your daughters when you're interacting with your husband or your better half, or, you know, whatever, your boyfriend. Please keep in mind how you're talking to that man, how you're communicating with that man. Please keep in mind even what you're teaching her verbally. You know, are you coming from a scorned, hurt, fearful place where it's more like, girl, men ain't shit, they ain't never gonna be here for you, do for you, all men cheat, this, that, and the third? Is that what the tone and the message is gonna be? You know, or don't ever get married? Or is the tone or message even through your behavior gonna be, you know, arguing, fussing, fighting, bickering is the norm? This is just what it is. This is how you have to talk to a man in order to be heard. You know what I'm saying? Like, just please keep in mind, you know, when you're raising your daughters and when they're around, especially if you live with a man, you know, or you have a man that frequents, or it's their father, whatever, you know, just please keep in mind how and what you're giving off, right? What you're communicating verbally and what you're communicating non-verbally through your behavior. Kids soak things up. They soak the stuff up. They really do, you know. Growing up, if I'm being transparent, my mom was the type, I know if she was upset with my father, how I would know, because my parents didn't argue in front of us. It wasn't any of that unhealthy stuff like I said before. I would just notice that she was real short with my dad in her communication, or I noticed that she just really wouldn't speak to him at all. That is a learned behavior that I've even gotten. I'll be 100% real. When I'm upset with my husband, or I feel hurt by something he did or said or didn't do, or didn't say, it's very easy for me to just shut down and be like, I ain't messing with you. I ain't effing with you like that. You know what I'm saying? And we'll be two people in and out the house, and it'll be very easy for me to not say much. it's not good, right? Not that I saw my mom do this all the time, but it's something that did stick with me. And I almost have to like coach myself out of doing that, because in marriages, communication is everything, right? And so I get it if we all have our moments where we just may need a minute to kind of like breathe, process, whatever, right? But it shouldn't be where there are just so many days that go by without any communication. So I only use that example to say we learn certain patterns of behavior from our parents. And this is never a conversation my mom had. You know, when you're married and your husband bothers you, or he annoys you, or you're hurt or upset by something he didn't do, didn't say, whatever, just don't talk to his ass. Like, she ain't never say that to me, right? But it's something that I picked up because it's something that I saw her do at times. And so, you know, we all have to be cognizant of, you know what I'm saying, what we're giving off, what we're teaching, even if we're not verbally saying this, that, and the third, you know? Thankfully, you know, my mom's a pretty healthy and sane person. She's been through a lot in her life. And I'm thankful that, you know, that's probably the only thing I could say that may not have been the best method that I did see or pick up from my mom, you know. Other than that, you know, I'll take that over the arguing, growing up in a household where there was arguments and fussing and fighting and bickering and all of that kind of stuff, you know, where it's toxic. And so it's just something, we're all human, something that we just have to be aware of, because, like I said, children are sponges. And a lot of times we learn from one another, not just by what we say, but by what we do, right? And so I want all of us women to think about this. I'm married and I still found myself thinking like, what did my mom teach me when it comes to dealing with men? Thankfully, my mom gave me a lot of jewels of wisdom as far as just in marriage, in relationships with men. There's certain things you're not going to understand because men and women think differently. There's certain things my husband will never probably fully get and understand as to why my perspective is the way it is about certain things, because I'm a woman and I'm wired to be a certain way, right? Whereas he's wired to be a different way. There's certain things and perspectives I will never understand because I'm not a man, you know? And I think knowing that is half the battle. You know, I've learned that through my mom as well. Like I said before, men are big on respect, right? Respect and appreciation. They want to feel appreciated. They want to feel valued. They want to feel, those are things I believe that help them to feel secure, help them to feel like, okay, my woman got me. You know, she appreciates what I do. She appreciates my love, how I show my love. She appreciates the sacrifices that I make. You know what I'm saying? Whereas as women, we want respect. Our respect may more so be, of course, we want to be appreciated too, but our respect may more so be along the lines of loyalty, right? I want to know that my spouse, my man, is not going to be out here creeping and cheating on me, you know, with the next chick. You know, I want to know that after I done cleaned this whole house in its entirety and broke my back to do it, that he's going to be respectful enough to keep it clean and not go out here and dirty it up after I just broke my back cleaning this house. Or I came home from work, I'm tired, but I still went and made a meal for us. I want to know that he appreciates that. Us women, we want to feel protected, right? That's another way that we feel loved. When you know that your man is going to always protect you. We want to feel like our men can provide for us. And this is something that I feel, because we're in this age of feminism and this age of independence. And it's funny, I follow Naturally Fashionable as well as Blog with Kim, same person. And, you know, on her Naturally Fashionable Instagram page, and I think on her website, she's been talking a lot about independency. And the way she put it kind of had me like, let me think about that for a while. She was like, I don't want to be independent, you know? I love the fact that my husband, you know, manages the bills. You know, I manage the house. She used to be a teacher. She's an entrepreneur. You know, I still am here to hold him down. You know, if something ever happened where he lost his job or God forbid he got sick, I'm here. You know, I'll be able to hold down the bills. I'll be able to help out with whatever I need to help out with. But in marriage, in this sense, she does believe in the gender role. As far as the husband is the provider, he handles the finances, or a majority of them, and she, as the woman, more so tends to the house and is more of the nurturer. You know what I'm saying? If they don't have children yet, but when they have children, if that's what they decide to do, or what they're blessed to have, then she'll be the one to more so tend after the children. And so it was interesting to hear that in this day and age, right? I'm used to hearing that growing up. That was the way of the world, right? Men are providers. I'm a Christian. Even the Bible says that. Men, you provide. When you decide to take on a wife, you're agreeing and making it clear that you're going to provide and take care of her. And in some ways, I still feel that. I grew up in a household where my mom stayed at home with us, and my dad was the provider. So of course, in my mind, this is normal. Now, yes, I work, I don't make a whole lot of money, but I work, and I'm okay with helping my husband. It makes me feel good that I do have my own funds, my own source of income. Same like, her name is Kim Postel from Naturally Fashionable and Blog with Kim. She's an entrepreneur. She has her own money. It was interesting that she still is like, but aside from that, I'm not going 50-50 on these bills. You're the husband. You're the provider. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's part of your responsibility. I feel like men lately, they ain't with that, They kind of will look for, well, where's your half, And I find myself being pulled in the middle with this issue, because it's like, but when you take on to have a wife, in some ways you're taking on to be the provider. But then I get the other side where it's like, we're a team, and we should be able to work together to acquire and to maintain a life together. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like in the middle. Like, I feel like it's like a tug of war. I'm being pulled on each side depending on the day regarding this. And so how did I get to this point? I guess maybe it just also goes to just how we think differently. This may be an area that some men will never fully understand. Like, no, this is 2018. You should be able to pull your own weight financially, right? You should be able to help out. And then some of us women are like, even though this is 2018 and I'm willing and deciding to financially help out, you're still the husband. A big part of your role is to be the provider, tricky topic. I may have to do a vlog specifically on this topic alone. It's very deep, controversial, and I would love to hear other people's perspectives on it, because I do feel like in marriages, we do have specific roles. Not every marriage is different, and everybody may play their role or play their position or play a different position for that matter. But I still kind of feel like us women, we're not really given much of an option. Most men, not all men, but most men are still going to expect that you are going to do the cooking, the cleaning, the washing of laundry, and the sexing them whenever they want, regardless of whether you're working full time or you're not. And so if those expectations don't really budge, right? Meaning it's 2018, but you still want Susie Q from back in the day, Susie Homemaker, but Susie Homemaker still got to get up and go to work and pound that pavement like you do. It's kind of like, is that fair? Then it should be okay if my expectation is that you provide and you take care of all of this, Very interesting subject matter that I definitely will have to tackle separately in a different vlog. But what I will just say, once again, I think it's important for us to just be cognizant of what our mothers have taught us. Did we get those positive, healthy, wise lessons when dealing with men from our moms and how to deal with men from our moms? Or were we kind of getting those toxic, unhealthy, drama-filled, kind of messages that are more generational curse type situations from our moms, and if you find that that's what you've gotten, your mother wasn't the best example in terms of helping to teach you how to deal with men healthily, that doesn't mean that all hope is lost for you. It just means that you may have to do a little bit more work within yourself to make sure that you don't go down that path, because learned behavior it's kind of hard to deviate from it when it's all you know, right? But I think once you're able to identify, I love my mama, but that wasn't the right way. That wasn't the kind of relationship or marriage anyone should ever have. No woman should accept this kind of treatment or should treat her man this way. I want to do different than my mama. I love her, but that ain't the way, you know? There still is hope for you. You still can break that curse or break that behavioral cycle or pattern. Within my mom's family, she may be the only woman who really ended up having a healthy relationship and marriage. Like I said, my parents have been married for 37 years now. And so, like, unfortunately, it's not many other women on that side of my family that I can say, yes, this person has an amazing marriage and this person had a great relationship and this person, I really can't, you know? But my mom was willing to do the hard work to break the cycle of what her mom either didn't teach her or what her mom taught her that was like toxic and unhealthy, you know, as it pertains to like managing relationships and dealing with men. And so I always say, and I'm huge on the psychology component of my website, of my movement, because things are always deeper. I say this to my husband, he disagrees with me a lot. You know, behaviors stem from a deeper place, y'all. Things are not just that surface or just that face value out here. Shit digs deep, y'all. Just know, it digs deep. You know? The simplest things that we do, you'd be surprised. It stems from something, you know, it's deeper than just, oh, this is just a habit that I have. No, at least that's not what I believe, you know? And so the more that we're able to really start to have self-awareness and say, you know, and even just awareness in general with our own families, as far as why does everybody live life this way? This ain't the way, you know, or maybe it is the way. Still, being able to connect those dots, I think is helpful. We all have to navigate through life. We all have to have some kind of invisible or imaginary map, a guide, you know, for those of us that believe in a higher power, believe in God, that a lot of times is part of our invisible map, our guide. You got to be able to like figure that out, know the forest from the trees, like just realize that things just are not what they are just because they are what they are. Behaviorally, things stem from somewhere. So if we find that we're having a difficult time in relationships, or we're having a difficult time even getting a man, there's something to that. I say this more than not, and I'm always riding out with my singles and wanting to give y'all hope and empower and encourage you all. I will say, it's not hard to attract a man, right? There's certain things, you know, personality-wise, physically-wise, it's not really hard to attract a man. And then for him to further want to get to know you, I'm not going to be out here and say that there was something more special about me as far as why I'm married. No, I think the difference is, yes, my upbringing played a big piece in it. I have a very balanced childhood. I had a good childhood. One that helped me to develop a certain sense of self and self-worth, self-esteem, confidence, self-love, where I wasn't going to just take no bullshit out here, you know, like, so yes, that helped, right? But it's not that I was like more beautiful than anyone. There are tons of women who are way more gorgeous than I am, right? You know, flyer bodies than I have, right? And they're still single. So it's a lot of the stuff in here, y'all, like being connected with who you are, knowing who you are, loving who you are, all that stuff I always talk about. Those are the things that will have a man being like, what's your name? And wanting to pursue you, wanting to get to know you, wanting to eventually put a ring on your finger. You know, I find myself battling this, like, is it that the pickings are slim, or is it also that sometimes we have all this baggage because of maybe things that our mom taught us, right? Or things that we saw our mother do. It's hard for us to really have mature or be in mature relationships, have a different level of conversation. That's another thing I've learned through a lot of my husband's friends who are like family to me. Shout outs to GP, right? They actually want to have conversation that is actually on a high level with women. I've seen them turn down beautiful women with amazing bodies. It's not enough, y'all. It's not enough. And this is why I posted on my Instagram page today for @ComplexSimplicity09 this quote that said, "Don't let society make you change who you are," right? I just got finished before I came on here to have a conversation with y'all. I just got finished watching Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, Basketball Wives, and it's like, yo, it's ridiculous how everybody wants to look the same. Like everybody, like the Kardashian, Jenner clan, these reality TV chicks, they got the game messed up out here, y'all. Half these women, gorgeous women, they done inflated their asses, looking crazy, half of them, and they still can't get and or keep a man. That says a lot. Men want more. At least the men, the good ones out here that really want to settle down and really want to do life with someone and wife someone, marry someone, they want more than that. At the end of the day, beauty fades, y'all. When we get older, you know, we try to hold on to the cuteness and the snatchness and whatever you want to call it as much as we can. But that shit fades, you know? So you have to be able to build relationship foundations on something real, on something that has substance. Men want substance. The kind of men most of y'all want out there, the man that I wanted and married, he wanted substance. And so, you know, please take this for what it is and like really ask yourself, yo, what did my mother teach me when it comes to dealing with men? You know what I'm saying? Did she even teach me anything? Did she have a conversation with me? Did she talk to me about some of her experiences and things that she learned and things maybe I shouldn't do, things to look out for? Did she teach me what men really feel that they need from women? You know, I don't want to say all men are the same, but a lot of what they want are the same things, just like us women. We're not all the same, but when it comes to being in a relationship or relationships, a lot of times we want the same things, right? It doesn't matter where we're from. It doesn't matter the experiences we've had in our lives. 9 out of 10 times, if you say, put on paper the qualities you want in a significant other, 9 out of 10 times, at least 4 of them qualities gonna be the same. Probably more than that, you know? So just keep that in mind, y'all, you know? And if, like I said, if you find that your mother might not have given you the best messages about how to deal with men, no hope lost. You just may have to work a little harder to make sure that you don't repeat some of her behaviors, you know what I'm saying? But you know, some of our moms might have been willing to stay in marriages and relationships when they really weren't getting their needs met. They weren't being treated well. You have the choice to be like, nah, I'm not gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? It's up to you. It's up to you. It's up to us, right? And so let's just be aware of those things, y'all. It all comes together. I'm telling you. It all comes together. Relationships, marriages are hard work, y'all. 2 imperfect people coming together to do life with one another. It's not an easy thing, you know? However, the more that we are in touch with why we do what we do, the things that we do, good, bad, and indifferent, what we need to change and get better at, the better the relationship can be if both parties are thinking along those lines, you know? Like I said, I know there are things that I need to stop doing. Like, girl, stop being extra and not talking to your man when you're upset with him. Don't let that go on too long. For me, I'm that girl that'll let it go on way too long, you know? Something I have to work on. And so, yes, we have to be aware of these things, y'all. Anyway, it's been like 40 minutes. Let me stop talking your head off. Thank you for checking in with your girl, rough edges and all. Continue to head to ComplexSimplicity.com. And until next time.